And now it is time to tell the final story of the night. And since I have a feeling this is going to run a little bit long, I'm just going to go ahead and get the lights. All hail the Ironwood King. He sat on his high tower, looking down upon his kingdom. His word was law, and he believed himself to be God. He served his people with whips and stones, and if any of them disobeyed him, he had them thrown to the dogs, had their limbs torn off piece by piece, or put them on a stake and burnt alive. But time is the killer of all kings, and his people revolted. They tore down his statue and burned his banners, and they took him from his high tower to the darkest cell in the darkest dungeon. A new king was put on the throne, a peasant, Alistair, and although he didn't look like much, with his rags and his wooden shoes, he had a great talent in getting people to follow him. People trusted him. And among his three main followers was Ranulph, the military man, a great warrior, Bertram, who was the wise one. He was a scholar, and he was always giving Alistair advice, telling him what he needed to say, and Fenor, the religious man, was always quoting the gospel to Alistair, trying to make him follow the laws of God. And all four of them were sitting there, enjoying a banquet, pigs and wine and even fruit, grapes, and just celebrating their victory over the Ironwood King. As they were talking, Ranulph all at once stood up, and he held up his goblet in the air. "All cheers to the new Ironwood King. May God bless his days, and may the sins of our past king wash away, and the light shine down on this dark land once again." And everybody clapped, and Ranulph sat down. And Alistair said, I hope to do my best for my people. But I must say this isn't all just celebration. We must also honor the men that gave their lives." And Bertram said, "You are truly a great king, my lord. I wish only that the people could have better days, and I believe that you are God's instrument, their reward for their faith in him." And Alistair said, "Yes, I do believe that the fates have written me into this story, and I do believe the fates have destined me to be the new Ironwood King." And Fenor said, "Well, it's getting pretty late. We all better be going to sleep now. We'll have some degrees and some people to talk to in the morning." Anyways, they all got up. And as they were all leaving, Bertram suddenly stopped at the door, and he turned around. "Alistair, I just wanted to say something very quick, if you don't mind." "Oh, please," said Alistair. "Well, you see, my lord, as the old king was being dragged away, he mentioned something about a creature that was crawling on the walls, that could see things, a great evil, and that it would be the death of the Ironwood King. I just thought you'd like to know. I know it's probably just crazy." And Alistair said, "Well, I have heard similar things of men in the battlefield. They will say they've seen angels or dark shapes. But we must keep in mind that these are but reflections of men's minds, and that God does not intervene in this world." And Bertram said, "Wise words, my lord. Good night." And he left, and Alistair looked around for a moment at his throne room. He picked up his crown and he put it on his head, and then he picked up the sceptre and he began to wave it around as if commanding great armies. And as he was standing there, he heard a voice behind him. "All praise to the Ironwood King, indeed." And Alistair turned around, and there, besides the window, there stood a creature with horns on its head and a beard, and bright red skin, and bright yellow eyes, and a smile on its face. And Alistair was immediately taken aback. He didn't know what to do, and he just stood there in fear, and he said, What are you? And, the creature said, Well, I go by many names. Beelzebub, Lucifer, the fallen angel. But one thing that can be said for sure, I am here to be of service to you, Ironwood Keen. I have been listening into the hearts of men since the very dawn of time. I know everything they say. I know your heart, I know theirs. And I believe that there soon will be revolt in your kingdom. Alistair said, No, I know what you are. You are the devil, and I will not listen to you. I will follow my men. I will believe in them. And the devil said, But they're already speaking about it now. They're going to kill you. Wouldn't it be wise if you had another pair of ears and another pair of eyes? I can crawl up the walls. I can listen where other people can't. And I am an expert hider. In fact, I'm always in a room, somewhere hidden. But the moment that you look for me, I will hide over in some other place so that you'll never ever actually find me. And, Alistair, he looked at the devil. No, if you do not leave at once, I shall call the Lord, or I shall call the angels, and you shall be taken from this place. And the devil said, But you haven't called them. So I shall just be around. And if you need me, well, you know where to look. And the devil suddenly just disappeared. He moved so fast, I think, that Alucard couldn't even see him. But anyways, many months passed, and Alistair did not show much interest in degrees and ways of the law. In fact, he took to drinking, and he took to women, and that was pretty much all he took to. He spent those months in party and feast and celebration, and Ranulph and Fënor and Bertram soon realized that they were going to need to do something, and they called a meeting together. I've taken enough, said Ranulph. I say we chop off his head. We should kill him, or throw him into a prison like we did the old Ironwood Keen. And Bertram said, Don't talk like that. We could get in very deep. You could be thrown in the prison yourself. Listen, he's just celebrating, that's all. He can't help himself. And you can't blame him. It was a great victory. And his whole life has been changed in front of him. And Fënor said, I don't know. I think God has left him. Anyways, Ranulph said, Well, I'm going to have a piece of my mind. If he comes into this room right now. And it just so happened that Alistair broke through the doors at that moment, with two girls around his shoulders, and he was laughing. And he looked at, Fënor and, Ranulph and Bertram and said, Oh, my friends! What is all these faces so solemn? Come on, it's time to party. Yeah, get the wine. Girls, come here. I want you to meet my friends here. And Ranulph said, Yes, there he goes again, just like he always does. Bertram said, Please, we must try to reason with him now. Alistair, can we talk to you alone? Alistair said, Oh, very well. Girls, please go. And the girls left, and Alistair said, what's the matter? And Bertram said, You haven't taken very well to your duties. And Ranulph said, Yes, you haven't taken very well of your duties at all. You haven't done your duties at all, in fact. Look, you are supposed to be a great king. You're supposed to stand up for all of these people. And look, you haven't done a single thing. And Alistair said, Don't you talk to me like that. I'm the Ironwood King. What I say goes. And Ranulph said, Well, I've had enough. I'm gonna cause a revolt in the kingdom. I'm gonna cause rumors. I'm gonna do everything I can to get you out of here. And Ranulph started walking towards the door. The Ironwood King, indeed. You know what? I am done. All of this. I'm leaving the court. And he opened the door and he slammed it shut. And Alistair and looked at Bertram and Fënor, who were kind of shaken a little bit because they could see the angry look in Alistair's eyes. And Bertram said, Come on, Fenor, we better follow him. I don't think he knows what he's saying. And the two of them left. As Alistair was there alone, the devil came slinking out from behind the window's curtain, and he said, "Well, it was just as I said, wasn't it? He's going to kill you. But you know, there's always another option." And the devil pointed his hand at a knife that was lying on the table. "Think it over, Alistair." And the devil disappeared, and Alistair sat down, and he began to consider every single moment he had had with Ranulph. He considered every single look, and he started to realize things in those looks that he had never realized before. And as he was sitting there, Ranulph came back in. "My lord, I... What is it?" said Alistair. "I wanted... Can't believe that I'm saying this, but I apologize for what I said. My anger got the better of me. You have to believe me on that. I didn't know what I was saying." And Alistair said, "Oh, that's quite all right, Ranulph." "No, it's not all right," said Ranulph. I think that you are a great king, and you must do what you can, and if you need this rest period, you must have it." And Ranulph took a drink of wine. "And I do have to make a sort of funny confession to you. I was always sort of jealous of you, you know. I kind of wanted to be king. I might have said that I've wanted to kill you before, and I never meant it. It was never my soul speaking. It was something else." And Alistair said, "Yes, of course, something else was speaking. Something else indeed." "What?" said Ranulph. "I know what you're doing. You're trying to defend yourself. But you would kill me the moment that I turned my back. You're still plotting against me, and you'll plot against me forever. You want this crown, you want this throne, you want to be the Ironwood king." And he picked up the knife. "Well, some friend you turned out to be. All the battles of all the times that I saved your life and you saved mine." And Ranulph said, No, hold on, now, please. No, I didn't mean it. It wasn't me." But Alistair didn't listen. He ran forward and began to stab Ranulph. He must have stabbed him 15 times as Ranulph shrieked, and the sounds caused Bertram and Fenor to come running through the doors, and as they came in, they saw Alistair covered in blood, and his eyes wide. Said Alistair, "He was trying to kill me. He came at me with a knife. I just barely was able to survive." And so a few more years passed, and during that time it seemed that Alistair grew more lonely. He spent all of his time with with the devil, and the devil would speak to him and tell him of all the things he heard, and suspicion was everywhere in the Ironwood king's castle. Well, one day he called Bertram to the hall, and Bertram was sitting there at the table and talking to him, and Alistair suddenly spoke. "Bertram, you always thought that I killed Ranulph, didn't you?" And as Alistair said this, he poured the wine into one of the goblets and then into the other, and he passed the goblet to Bertram. Yes, no, yes, my lord, I did believe that, but I don't believe it now. I see that I was quite foolish. I know that you are a good king, and if you say that Ranulph was going to kill you, then he must have been going to kill you. And you cannot ever trust anyone in this world, can you?" And Bertram said, "No." Bertram looked down at the wine for a moment, and Alistair took a drink of his own wine, and Bertram took a drink. "But, my lord, there isn't any hard feelings, is there?" "Yes," said Alistair, "there is." And suddenly Bertram felt a sharp pain in his heart, and he fell down to the floor. The pain was becoming so intense, and Alistair walked up to him, and he looked down at him. "Ah, you would have stabbed me in the back just like Ranulph." And Bertram said, No, my lord, that's not true. You You've become confused. You've forgotten that there are people that care about you. Oh, I have no real love, said Alistair. Everyone is out to get me. Everybody wants to be the Ironwood King, to have my money, to have my food. That was all you ever really cared about. Oh, my lord, said Bertram. You must not forget about love. Please, you must not forget. As he said these words, he died. Alistair had been very smart. He had poured the poison into the cup before he had poured the wine in. And this had been enough to fool Bertram. But many more years passed, and Alistair's friend Fëanor became a much closer friend. In fact, every moment Fëanor did his best to make the Ironwood King think that he loved him, and Alistair seemed to be growing even more beast-like. He began to grow, and I'm not exaggerating here, claws, and his hair began tangled and massed, and he began to gain weight, and his eyes were almost yellow, like those of a cat. And his all the time was speaking to the demon, and now it was just a voice, or the devil, and he was speaking to the voice everywhere. And finally, the people did begin to revolt. They began to attack the castle, and soon Alistair and Fëanor were trapped in their room, and Alistair looked down. They all were against me, all from the very beginning. I knew it. And Fëanor said, My lord, I would still do anything for you. Alistair didn't even listen to him, he just looked down. I cannot believe it. I will not allow it. I cannot stand for it. I'll kill them all if I have to. I'll kill every single one of them. And then he turned to Fëanor. You're the one. And Fëanor looked at him. I don't know what you mean, my lord. You're the one that caused all of this. You're the trickster. You're the devil. Yes, you are. And he picked up the knife, the same one that he used to kill Ranulph. My lord, please, you don't know what you're talking about. But at this point, Alistair had gone mad. He was throwing things off the table, and he was coming straight towards Fëanor. And Fëanor didn't even put up a fight. He was such a religious man. Alistair began to stab him. He stabbed him once and then twice. But just at that moment, the door was kicked down, and the rebels came in. And the new king stood there, and he yelled, Stop him! Hold him up! And Alistair looked over, and he was so frightened of these people, it sent such a shock through him that he dropped the knife, and they grabbed hold of him. The Ironwood King will be dead, said Alistair. The beast, it still lives. And he was dragged down to a cell. And this new king, he walked up to Fëanor, and he saw him lying there, and he said, Looks like he's going to be all right. Look, get some medical attention to him. Make sure that the bleeding stops. Anyways, he was taken away. And Gillen, his servant, said, Well, my lord, here's the throne room of the mad Alistair. And the king said, Yes, I hope that better days can come. I hope I can do better for this kingdom than that old man. And Gillen said, I'm sure you will, my sir. And he left. And as the king was looking around, he heard a voice behind him. Hello, so you are the new Ironwood King. And this king turned around. Now, I should mention that the king himself never became a bad person. Not this one. He didn't kill anyone, and he was known as a good king in his reign. Strange part of the story, strange to end it here, but that's what historically happened. This king ended up actually helping the people. And I think that in the end, we have learned that evil is something that is very real. In fact, it's more real than you, or more real than me. Something that certainly exists in the Fireside Tales. And as always, sweet dreams and good night.